Namathu Ratana Tayasa. May I pay homage to Triple Zim and the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. And good evening, everyone. Today we are going to learn how to do a walking meditation again from yesterday. And before practicing walking meditation, I just would like to inform that in America today would be a full moon night, and this is also end of the Vassa, the Pansa, and the day all the monks will perform a ceremony called the Pavarana, which basically means the invitation ceremony. And in that invitation ceremony, basically the concept is that when monks are living together, intentionally or unintentionally, there's a possibility and that we may have done something wrong towards one another. And take this opportunity on the Pavarana day, we come together and asking for forgiveness. Whether you have heard, whether you have seen, or even you have a doubt, please forgive me. And this is how the performance of this ritual ends. And I take it very beautiful ceremony, and always admire this ceremony, because in life it is inevitable that we may have done something wrong to one another. It is possible that we do something against by knowingly or unknowingly, and sometimes simply because simply getting angry. And that's a nonsense. And later we repent it and understand that that is not the right thing to be done. And in that case, rather than leave it, making a space and a gap and a difference, we come together and ask for forgiveness to one another. And this beautiful ceremony, if we can apply in a lay life, and those who are listening in your household life, it will be beautiful. You're living together with your family, your husband or your wife, your children. It is inevitable that there will be misunderstandings, there will be some doubts and miseries. And with that, a friction is very easy to be aroused. And in those situations, if you keep thinking about those frictions or disappointments and upsets and sadness or confusion, later on, if you do not console or do not solve it, that causes a trouble. And sometimes it can be so huge that go on to the divorce. So that's why this beautiful ceremony is a concept that we can use in everyday life, particularly in household life. The trouble is that in a household life, you don't have such a time or such a day like in a monastic, that in a Pavarana day, that the monks will come and ask for forgiveness. So you have to find your own way to go and speak and say sorry. Or if you have seen anything that I have done wrong, please help me, yeah? Forgive me. So that's why this is a very beautiful ceremony that I always admire. What that the how the Buddha invented and introduced for the harmonious living in the community. The following day today in here in Scotland or even in Thailand is called a Devarohana, and in America it will be tomorrow. So Devarohana is basically the concept that it is believed that the Buddha went into the heavens to teach the Abhidhamma to his mother to pay off mother's debt. And after spending for 3 months in the celestial heavens teaching the Dhamma, so he descended from the heavens. And this has been a tradition, and particularly in Thailand, that uh, on the very morning, the next day after the full moon, so which is today here in Scotland or in Thailand, people will be offering a dana or offering a food to the venerable monks as they go around in the morning collecting the alms. With the thought that this is the day when the Buddha was descending, the three worlds were opened. So there's the celestial world, the human world, and at the hell, or lower than the human worlds. The ancestors have developed the concept that in case our relatives are around, and this is the moment that they could see our goodness that we have performed, and they will rejoice in it. With that, they will be liberated from those lower states of existence, and we also will be getting more benefit because of the whole the sentient beings in these three worlds will be rejoicing in it. And this is again another form of a demonstration of our faith and a confidence in the Buddha, his compassion and his purity, and that his teachings passed on until today. And we are very fortunate to have his teachings and learning, hoping to follow the path that will lead us to the liberation. And obviously, walking on this path is not an easy job. It takes a lot of effort and lots of practice and a lots of dedication. Often people see that this path is beautiful, this path is good, and this path leads to the fruit and a path and a fruition, liberation, and yet not seeing the importance or essence of the practice, they would not practice. So we have to generate this faith and the confidence, and then seeing the importance of the practice, that how much this important, that will help us to shape ourselves, to train ourselves, to tame ourselves, and understand the teachings. With this practice, gradually we realize that the Buddha's teachings does make sense. Doesn't matter how small the teachings are. And doesn't matter which teachings we are taking from the Buddha's teaching. As we practice, we see that how important it is for our better life and well-being of ourselves. And particularly in the practice of Buddhist meditation, Buddha didn't always um, taught us to do the sitting meditation. There are so many other activities that we can practice, including walking, standing, lying down. And further on, if we look at the Sampajanyapabba of the Satipatthana Sutta, we realize that the Buddha was talking about being mindful of minor activities, even just raising our hands, or turning and going into the toilet, and so on. And that is up to us to dedicate, and how dedicated are we to paying attention on each actions that we are taking, each actions that we are performing. So it's been a couple of nights or morning here. We have been practicing and talking and practicing on a walking meditation. And as some of you have asked me to demonstrate a walking meditation in English language, so today I will be demonstrating and let you practice along with me. So I will invite you to practice with me. So if you have a space where you are now, designating the space maybe about 2 to 3 meters. Like here in our center, this is our shrine room in Scotland, and this is about 3 meters from one end to one another end. And this is another reason why we are planning to build a meditation hall where we can accommodate many people. In the shrine room, when we are doing a walking meditation, we could have only 5 to 6, maximum is 8. And it's very crowded. The space is very small, and this is a small cottage. And our plan is to build this meditation hall where we can have a proper walking meditation. So this is the during the raising fund time. If we have a sufficient fund, we plan to build it next year. Hopefully we can start it. But anyway, so this is the 3 meters length. If you have a 3 meters or maybe 2 or 3 meters of a space, and standing at the end of the walk, and we'll practice. Right? So I will lead you and we'll practice the walking meditation. Okay? So make yourself comfortable and make yourself space, and I will teach you how to do the walking meditation. As I have also mentioned yesterday, from sitting to standing, we have to intend or initiate ourselves to intending to stand and standing. Yeah. Okay, so in a walking meditation, it involves standing, walking, and turning. So 3 things happens. And meanwhile, when we are practicing a walking meditation, we can put our hands either at the front or the back, by like a right hand holding the left hand or left arm. And then our eyes, again, not searching for anything, but looking at ahead around 2 to 3 meters, and not bending to look at our feet, but standing firmly and looking ahead. Our head is straight, and observing the standing position. Internally, we are observing and consciously aware of it, saying standing, standing, standing. So about 3 times. And at first, conscious awareness of the standing position, you're aware of entire body sensation. So wherever you can feel as a whole, observing the standing position. So observing all the sensation that is taking place in your body. Further on, I normally extend it to see the greatness of the earth and the greatness of the field,
how grateful we are, ability to stand on the floor. So I normally extend at the second standing. So like first standing, standing, so observing the entire body sensation. And the second standing, standing, feel the support from the ground. You feel the support from the ground that allowing you to stand. And the third stand, standing, feeling the greatness of the earth. Right? But however, in the practice of a vipassana meditation, we are not extending beyond ourselves, the floor or the earth, but we are always concerned about our own body and the mind. So, standing, and after that, intending to walk. So, initiating ourselves. Basically, our mind works so fast. Our mind works so fast that it arises and vanishes so fast. Yeah. And then from as a result of that, shifting from one activity to another, normally we are performing it unknowingly or unconsciously. That's the habit pattern that we are doing. Whereas in the practice of a meditation, we are doing it with the full consciousness. And as a result, we are changing or shifting from one activity to another. At that moment, we have to initiate ourselves that I am changing, paying attention to one object to another. That's why it is called intending to walk or initiating yourself to change the position. So, intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. And after you have consciously aware of your intention to move, you're shifting your attention from awareness of your intention to the right foot. Okay, to the right foot. Yeah, yeah. And this is the first walking meditation. It's called right goes thus and left goes thus. So when we are saying right goes thus, we are lifting it. Right goes thus. Okay? Similarly, when we are saying left goes thus, so this case, left goes thus. Right? We have to stop a little bit each section. So continue walking like that, and at the last step, we're standing back again in this similar position and standing, and after that, doing the turning point. So I will explain when we are at the turning point. In a turning point, again, there will be 6 moves, uh, 3 pairs of 6 moves. That is a complete turn. So I will lead you. If you have the space and you are practicing, let's practice together. Yeah. So standing, 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 initiating yourself to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. Start walking. So shifting your attention to the right foot. Right goes thus. Slowly, yeah, and very firmly. Bear in mind that it can be very wobbly at the beginning. Yeah. The more your mind is concentrated on the activity of the foot, you will be able to walk firmly. Otherwise, you will be feeling wobbly. Shifting your attention from right to the left. So, left goes thus. So remember, do not lift too high and do not lift too low. Yeah. And once you have placed your foot on the ground, only then shifting your attention to the right foot. So right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Last step. So right goes thus. This is the last step. The last step that you are moving, you're bringing it together. Both feet are in line together so that you can stand firmly without any trouble. Observing the standing position. And standing, standing, standing. Now initiating yourself to turn. And again, when we are turning, normally turning to your right. So intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. And start turning. When you start turning, shifting your attention to the right foot and then moving just about 30 degrees. So shift your attention to the right foot and saying consciously turning. So you're moving this right foot only about 30 degrees. And then shift your attention to the left foot, consciously aware and saying turning and in line with the right foot. Now shift your attention to the left foot, right foot, and again turning about 30 degrees. Shift your attention to the left foot and turning. So consciously you are saying in your mind and you're moving your feet. Shift your attention to the right foot, saying turning, again another 30 degrees. Shift your attention to the left foot and turning. So this is the complete turn. 3 pairs of a 6 move. And normally it is advisable to do from your right side. So start with the right foot. And after the complete turn, again, bring your attention to observe the standing position. The entire body standing. Consciously aware and making a note. Standing. Observing the entire body. Standing. Standing. And initiating yourself to walk. Intending to walk. Intending to walk. Intending to walk. Now again, shifting your attention to the right foot. Consciously making a note, and as you move, you're making a note of it. So right goes thus. So remember, when we are saying a right, it should be a right foot. It's not that left foot. So here, naming and noting should be, the movement of the feet should be synchronized, not one or another. So when we are saying a right goes thus, it should be right goes thus. And when you are saying left goes thus, it should be a left goes thus. Shifting your attention to the left foot, left goes thus. Shift to right foot, right goes thus. Continue walking, left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Last step. Left goes thus. Again, both feet are in line. End of the walk. Observing the standing position. Standing, standing, standing. Intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. Turning to your right. 3 pairs of the 6 moves. So turning, 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 turning. Again, standing, 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 intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. And start walking. Shift your attention to the right foot. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. The last step. Left goes thus. Standing, 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 intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. Start turning, 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 turning. Again, observing the standing position. Standing, 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 intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. Start walking. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. goes thus. Left goes thus. Right goes thus. Left goes thus. Last step. Right goes thus. Standing, 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 intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn, turning, start turning, 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 turning. So this is the first step of a walking meditation. You can practice at home or anywhere at all the time. Yeah. Now we'll do the practice of walking in the second stage. I will try my best to explain at least the third stage today. So the second step again is similar. We have to start from the standing position, intending to walk, which is similar as the first step. Yeah, and the actual walking steps is lifting and placing. So then basically when we are lifting our foot, we are consciously making a note of it by saying lifting and placing. So when we are saying lifting, we are moving a little bit forward and then placing. Right? So it's two stops here. We are conscious of two stops. One is lifting, stop, and placing, stop. Right? And one more thing, we have to be mindful here that in the first stage of a walking meditation, we know which foot, right or left. And now in the second stage of a walking meditation, there is no right and a left. There's only the phenomena as we lift and as we place. So we are basically learning to notice the phenomena as we lift and as we place. There is no my leg, my right leg, my left leg, only the phenomena that we are observing. And the ultimate purpose of the practice of walking meditation is to understand the phenomena rather than the actual foot. Right? So let's practice the second stage of a walking meditation, making sure it's standing position. Okay. Standing, observing the sensations throughout the body. Standing, 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 intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk, shifting your attention to the foot. Now here, whichever foot you can, right or left, you can shift your attention there and start walking. But in my case, I will normally shift my attention to the right foot and then lifting. So lifting, stop, and placing, stop. So this time again, making sure that you are lifting it not high and not low, and then when you're placing, you're not placing it far away from the next foot. If you're far away, then if you put your foot far away from the left foot, it makes it more difficult to walk or wobbly. And shift your attention to the another foot, lifting, placing. So lifting, placing, lifting, stop, placing, stop. Shift your attention to another foot, lifting, placing, lifting, placing. Continue walking, lifting, placing, lifting, placing, lifting, placing, lifting, placing. Last step, lifting, placing. And observing the standing position, similar to before. Standing, standing, standing. Initiate yourself to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. Start turning again. 3 pairs of 6 moves. Turning, 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 turning. So after a complete turn, bring your attention to observe the entire body standing again. Standing, standing, standing. Initiating yourself to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. Shift your attention to one of the foot. So, lifting, placing, 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 lifting, placing. Last step, lifting, placing. Observing the standing position, standing, 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 intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. Start turning, 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 standing, standing, standing. So this is the second stage of a walking meditation. I hope that you get the idea how to do the second stage of a walking meditation. And because of the shortage of time, I will move on to the third walking stage, third walking meditation. That is lifting, moving, placing. And here again, standing is similar to previous practice. An intention, intending to turn, intending to walk would be the same, and a turning would be the same. Only different would be the actual walk. During the actual walk, there will be 3 stops. So that is, so lifting. So as we lift, we're lifting, lifting, and stop, and then moving. So going forward and stop before placing it. and then placing on the floor. So again, lifting, moving, placing. Right? So aware of the stops, 3 stops: lifting, stops; moving, stop; and placing, stop. So this is the third stage of a walking meditation, and it requires a significant amount of your concentration on your foot. As you lift one foot, you have to place all the weight on another one, so it is very easy to be wobbly and even makes you fall down. So that's why you have to walk very slowly, very mindfully, and as you lift, you have to make sure that the another foot is able to hold you standing. And so, some of you, if you're finding a difficulty walking alone, make sure that you're walking along the wall, or there is a holding or the stick that helps you. Um, but if you're walking mindfully and mindful of lifting, moving, placing very slowly, it helps to gain the confidence of your walk as well. Okay? So let's practice one state at a time. Okay. So first of all, let's observe the standing position. Standing, standing, standing. Initiating yourself to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. Set your attention to the foot. So make sure very mindfully you are lifting your foot. So lifting, moving, placing. Shifting your attention to the next foot. Lifting, moving, placing. And shifting your attention to the next foot. Slowly but consciously. Okay. Lifting, moving, placing. This time, make sure you do not close your eyes. Our eyes balances our walk. So shift your attention to the next foot. Lifting, moving, placing. 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 Last step. Lifting, moving, placing. Standing, observing the sensations throughout the body. Standing, standing. Initiating yourself to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. Start turning, 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 turning. Observing the standing position. Standing, standing, standing. initiating yourself to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk, intending to walk. Start walking, lifting, moving, placing, 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 lifting, moving, placing. Last step. Lifting, moving, placing. Standing, standing, standing. Initiate yourself to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn, intending to turn. Start turning, 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 standing, standing, standing. And this is the third stage of a walking meditation. I hope that you all have got the technique, how to do the first stage of a walking meditation, second stage of a walking meditation, and third stage of a walking meditation. Each stage involves with the standing, intending to walk, intending to turn, and then start walking. In the first stage of a walking meditation, we have a concept of a right and a left of a my foot. The second onwards, there will be no right and a my legs, but just a phenomena. Observing the phenomena of rising and lifting and placing. And as your concentration develops, you will realize that there are more detail to be able to recognize. So the third stage is even more deeper concentration of the phenomena as we move. But it requires a lot of concentration and a balance. So that's why try to walk slowly as much as you can and being mindful of it. And one more last thing I would like to add here, that when you are walking, meditating, this time when your mind is distracted or lost into the thoughts, you have to stop and observe that thought, noting that thought, and start walking after you have noted. Now we'll do the sitting meditation for a couple of minutes before the end of today's session. And again, from the sitting as a walking meditation to the sitting meditation, we have to change our mental state. So that's intending to sit, intending to sit. And normally, when we are doing a walking meditation, we will be walking next to our sitting position. Suppose I've been walking, then I will be close to my sitting position, and I will be saying standing again. So observing the standing position, standing, 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 and then initiating, changing from the walking meditation or standing meditation to the sitting meditation, saying intending to sit, intending to sit, intending to sit, And slowly you are lowering yourself and trying to observe as much as you can as you do the sitting. And even the adjusting time, you're mindful of your adjusting. And after you have seated, bring your attention to the body, mindfully sitting. The Buddha said, Ujjum Kayam Panithaya, so that is sitting upright position. And preferably your hands are on a lap, right hand on top of the left hand, like this. Like normally you see the Buddha statues. Okay. And then after that, simply bring your attention to be mindful of your sitting body, and mindful that you are sitting, and bring your attention to the breath, breathing in and breathing out. Mindful of your breath. And here, breathing in and out, it could be in your nose or in your abdomen, wherever you feel comfortable to pay attention to. You can use it as the primary object of a concentration. And consciously making a mental note of it. Suppose you're comfortable with the incoming breath and outgoing breath as it comes in, breathing in as it goes out, breathing out, or rising, falling as it comes in, it rises, noticing, making a mental note of it, rising, and it falls, making a mental note of it, falling. So rising, falling. And making sure that you are not controlling the breath. Let it flow naturally, normally. Our job is to observe as it takes place, which I normally give an example. We are sitting at the bank of the river and watching the river flow. Watching the river flow. Nothing to do with the water flow. Whatever comes, your job is to observe as it comes and as it goes. So breathing in, breathing out, rising, falling. So this breath-related object is the primary object, and whatever other objects arises, that is known as the secondary objects. Let's say the thought arises, the sound disturbs, or the ache, or a pain in your body. These are known as the secondary objects, or just the visitors. In those moments, we leave the primary object and notice that the secondary object. I normally use the 4 words as observe, acknowledge, note, and let go. And after we have let it go, coming back to the primary object, that is the breath related, whether the breath incoming, outgoing at the nose or the rising and falling of the abdomen, whichever you have adapted it as your primary object. So, breathing in, breathing out, rising, falling. Whenever you have other distractions, observing it as this is a distraction, acknowledging that you are aware of that, making a mental note. If that's a sound, hearing, if that's a thoughts, thinking. If that's a itchiness, itching. If that's a pain. Or sometimes you can't name it. then just perceiving it. It's not a name that is important, but it's perceiving it. The knowing of it is important. And let go. And back to the primary object. So this is the basic fundamental practice of a meditation, to tame our mind, and then gradually we will be able to train it for the good and the benefit of ourselves. So continue practicing for a couple of minutes. Sape Buddha Balapatta Patte Kanan Jayam Balang Arahanta Nanjate Jena Rakhang Vandami Sampaso Sabba Buddhanupavena Sabba Dhammanupavena Sabba Sanghanupavena Sada Soti Bhagwantu Te. So thank you very much. So this is the end of today's session. I wish you all the best, and I hope that you got the basic idea of how to do the walking meditation and sitting meditation. So now you can take on and practice. I have a couple of minutes left. If any of you have got any questions to ask, you're most welcome, or anything you want to share, please do so. ใครมีคำถามไหมหรือมีอะไรจะแลกเปลี่ยนไหมถ้าไม่มีก็คงจะยุติไว้แต่เพียงเท่านี้สำหรับวันนี้เนาะอย่างนั้นก็เดี๋ยวไหว้พระกราบนะสาธุขอให้ทุกท่านสาธุขอให้ทุกท่านจงมีแต่ความสุขความเจริญนะขอให้สมดังปรารถนาที่เป็นธรรมทุกประการเถิดสาธุขอบพระคุณค่ะท่านสาธุอนุโมทนา